Saturday morning, time for the Experts program on Power Talk Radio, 1460 and 101 FM. Luis Alvarez is our tech expert, and he kicks off the program for us on Saturday mornings. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. Hey, it's the Jazz Festival weekend. I know that you and Ronnie are going to be out there enjoying things, and you've already been out there, right? You started on Thursday with the high school competition, and then they had shows on Friday night, and lots coming up this weekend. Anybody in particular that you're really excited to see this year?
Well, there's a bunch of the smaller bands that, most people won't know much about, but I encourage people to try them, like Snark Puppy is a really good jazz band. They play some very contemporary music, but they have a long history of contemporary jazz that really plays well with their music. There's just a lot of opportunity out there this weekend. So I encourage everybody to make sure if you come out, even if you just come out for the grounds, a lot of people don't realize that the grounds tickets are usually available throughout the weekend, and it's the kind of thing where we expect that some people will show up at the last minute depending on weather. So there's usually a lot of tickets, and you can see some great bands playing. We even telecast from the arena. So if you wanted to come out when Diana Krall is on stage, you can catch her on video, live video. But it's going to be a great weekend of jazz music. You know
what's interesting to me about this festival? It is one of the oldest jazz festivals in the country, one of the most famous in the world. The very cream of the crop of people in jazz come to Monterey every year. And what strikes me when I think about this, Luis, is that the venue is really old, and it's really outmoded. I mean, I was thinking about other world-class jazz festivals, and they're in venues that are very modern, very comfortable, and you come out to Monterey, and either you're going to sit on hard wooden benches in a horse arena, or you're going to sit on folding chairs on top of something that covers up, a soft dirt surface. And I imagine that this is probably something that the Jazz Festival folks talk about, but improving the venue to where it would be more competitive with, say, other venues around the country or even the world, I guess that really isn't possible because the amount of money you'd be talking about just isn't there.
Yeah, the Jazz Festival itself contributes a significant sum to the fairgrounds, which is a state-owned facility.
Right. Even
though the state provides no funding at all. Basically, it pays for itself or raises money or charges organizations like the Jazz Festival to use the facilities. And on top of, the fees that we pay, we also undertake a bunch of improvements and repairs every year because it is an old facility. Some of our patrons will argue that it's part of the charm, right, of the Jazz Festival. This moving it indoors or moving it to a really fancy new place might not appeal to a lot of people, but it's a challenging facility. And despite the repairs and updates that we can make, it needs a lot of work to really become a world-class facility again.
So this is something that the festival board's addressed on, I guess, probably a regular basis over the years, right?
Yeah, we talk to the folks that run the festival grounds every year about what we can do, and our board has met with their board. We've done a lot of communication. Our executive director, Colleen Bailey, is in touch with their management team and staff on a regular basis because it is where we do our number one event of the year. We do a number of events throughout the year, including the spring Next Generation Jazz Orchestra or Next Generation Jazz Festival, which is all dedicated to high school and college students in downtown Monterey. But this is the one everybody remembers us by, so we want to make it a great experience as much as possible.
I'm not trying to be critical. It's just something that I was thinking about. It's like, wow, this thing, really, the only way you could really substantially improve it is you've got to tear the place down and start over again.
That's been talked about. Unfortunately, the state isn't keen on selling the facility, despite the fact that they don't do anything to help fund it. It's an asset that they don't want to give up, despite the fact that there's been several private entities that have approached them about doing so. So for the time being, it is what it is.
And only in Monterey. I mean, I was thinking about that. The other thing is that you couldn't really do this. Like, let's say you had the Jazz Festival in San Jose. There's no way you could get away with what you have in Monterey in another area. There's enough appeal. Well, there's the history of the event, there's the charm of it, and there's the fact that you're in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So that kind of maybe ameliorates some of the shortcomings of the facility.
It does. And it really is the reason so many events still take place there, because it's not the facility itself, it's the location and the experience that people have, and they could overlook the fact that some of the benches are hard and some of the buildings are pretty weathered. That's part of the charm, as I said. So hopefully that'll continue to be the case until we can actually do something significant out there.
All right. Well, let's talk about the 5 top themes from Amazon's Alexa and Echo in its event You Need to Know. Tell us about it.
So earlier this past week, Amazon did their big reveal. All of these tech companies have their annual event where they talk about major new products and product lines. And in the case of Amazon, it was all about Alexa and Echo. Most of us have experienced Alexa in one shape or another. We maybe have one at home or an Echo device. There's a bunch of different devices. But now Amazon's really moving forward with a whole bunch of new devices that are all connected to Alexa, and really moving us toward a world where these digital assistants, whether it's Siri or Alexa, Google Voice, they're all becoming more integrated into what we do every day in our homes and in our businesses, because some of the devices that Amazon revealed are strictly for the business environment. So Alexa's coming to a workplace near you.
And you're invested in the smart home, aren't you?
I am. I've been playing with smart home devices for years now, when they were really more dumb home devices. I was an early adopter of the Amazon Alexa because I wanted to see what you could do with it and how it evolves. And I have to say, it's evolved to become something that we use on a daily basis at the house. We have a couple of devices throughout the house, so we're able to use it as an intercom system. If I happen to be upstairs and Ronnie's downstairs and I want to communicate with her, I can just say, call the Alexa downstairs and talk to Ronnie. That's one of the features that they just enhanced. They have this thing called Alexa announcements. So rather than waiting for somebody to have to answer the Alexa at the other end, you can just use it as essentially a loudspeaker throughout the house and say, hey, dinner's ready, or we're going to be outside if anybody wants to join us. So it becomes a way to communicate throughout your home and, like I said, throughout your workplace, because it is moving into the workplace. And they've also come up with their own earbuds. Everybody knows the success that Apple had with their AirPods. It was a real big success for them, and other companies have followed suit, and now Amazon has as well. And they now have their own earbuds that work with Alexa, so you can talk to Alexa through the earbuds and have her order things or play music or answer questions for you. They've also come out with a few other things. I think one of the more interesting ones is something called the Echo Flex. One of the challenges that you have with the Echo, and that's the smaller version of the Alexa home device, is that it's kind of a big device and expensive, so you can't use it everywhere. Well, the Flex is something that you can pretty much deploy anywhere you want to, and it becomes kind of an extension of Alexa. So you can put it into bedrooms, you can put it into, if you want to put it in bathrooms, you can, but it becomes this device that you can use to communicate with other people or, play music or whatever you want to do. So it's something that I think is going to be very popular. I think a lot of people will be buying these Flexes to extend their Alexa network in their homes.
How do you protect your privacy?
Well, that's one of the things that a lot of these tech companies are really struggling with. In the case of Amazon, one of the things that they've enabled is something called auto delete. As we learned this past year, whenever you talk to Alexa or Google Voice or Siri, these companies would hold on to those recordings indefinitely. And according to them, they did it for training purposes or analytical purposes so they can make their devices smarter.
Well, they weren't doing it for your protection?
They weren't doing it for our protection.
Like they would normally tell you? Some jive talk?
It's kind of funny because sometimes Ronnie would still believes that anytime she says something, Alexa overhears her, and all of a sudden she's getting an email from that company. So she's like very suspicious about what's going on with Alexa in our house. But now you can actually set an auto delete feature to get rid of all of those recordings on a regular basis, so that the folks at Amazon can't keep them forever. I know I'm going to use that feature because I don't think they need to hold on to my request to how many ounces are there in a cup. Right. I think that's my private information. I don't want anybody else to know that I don't know that off the top of my head when I'm cooking anyway.
By the way.
Thank you. So those sorts of things, having that auto delete function is a good thing. And I think they're looking at more security protocols to enhance the security of these devices, because one of the biggest fears that we all have as we proliferate in our homes and in our businesses with all these smart devices is, well, what happens if somebody is able to tap into those, use them as a way to get access to our environment or to listen into our conversations, even though it doesn't look like they should be able to.
Right.
They're starting to add security protocols to prevent that sort of thing from happening. And the next step, I think, will be some alerting features so that if somebody does try to hack your system at home, for example, you will be be notified that something suspicious is going on. But I don't expect to see that until next year sometime.
Right. And are they catching on? Are more people adopting these systems?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think the convenience factor is starting to really drive adoption, especially when so many other companies are just embracing the integration with their devices. I know, like at home, my TV, all the new TVs that we've gotten the last couple of years, integrate seamlessly with Alexa. So you can use Alexa to turn off and turn on the TV, change the channels. You can program Alexa to have the TV turn on automatic when you're planning to get home, or call Alexa if you forgot to turn off the TV or forgot to turn off your Nest thermostat when you left the house, and say, hey, turn off Nest. So the convenience factor of communicating with voice is what I think is going to make these devices continue to be adopted, not just in the home, but in our businesses and in our cars. One of the announcements was that Amazon Alexa will now be available on GM's cars in the near future.
Really?
So you'll be able to use Alexa in the car to communicate with your house as well as with your car.
Amazing. I wonder, are we going to see a point in the not too distant future where home builders are going to start incorporating these smart features into new homes? You can buy one and it has all the smart stuff ready to go.
I think so, especially starting next year. As you know, there's a mandate that California wrote into law a couple of years ago that starting in 2020, all new homes will have to be essentially zero energy consumers. So they'll have to produce as much power as they consume.
Energy neutral.
Which means energy neutral, right. So they will have to incorporate a lot of technology and, like solar cells and a lot of that stuff will be difficult to use unless you automate your home and provide a lot of efficiencies so that you can minimize the amount of power that you use and not have to put up so many solar panels that you look like a giant solar factory.
Pretty interesting stuff. Louis, I want to thank you for joining us this morning and getting things started here on a Jazz Festival weekend. I know that you want to run and get out there and enjoy it, so thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. I hope to see you and anybody else that wants to come out to the festival today or tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful weekend.
Louis Alvarez has been with us, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. It's alvareztg.com on the web. @AlvarezTG is their Twitter handle. And Louis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.